Today we're going to be decorating our seahorse, and you can think about using lines and dots to do this. How you could start is by finding the center and making a pattern down the middle. So just start with some dots. And what you're going to find is this pattern grows. So with these dots, I'm going to add to it and make it grow. So I'm going to now add, next to these green, I'm going to do a row of maybe orange until it gets too small. And then on the other side, I could do the same thing, like so. And so it becomes like a growing pattern, and you'll see how this turns out. The next thing we want to think about doing is connecting all of our dots. So I can use any color I choose, and we're going to start making line connections. So I'm going to kind of connect all these. And if you remember looking at the seahorse, they have a certain little pattern to them. And again, I'm using my dots that I started with one line and grew to continue making this pattern grow. So if you've ever played that game where you have to box in a square, this is kind of like that game. I'm gonna keep going. Again, I'm just connecting dot to 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 dot. And wherever you wind up, that's fine. If it gets to be too small, it's still fine because you connected almost all of them. So now this is kind of looking a little bit more like the shape of a seahorse pattern that they have. We're gonna leave the head blank. Again, you're not coloring, you're just doing some line patterns. Because the next thing we're going to do is watercolor this whole thing in. Now, I'm gonna ask that you do a little bit different than we usually do. Typically, we dip our brush into paint and start painting. Today, we're gonna paint our seahorse just with water first. So all I'm doing is I'm putting down a bunch of water. You can't see because it's clear, but I'm just doing a bunch of water all over my seahorse. This is nice watercolor paper, so it's gonna have some water. Now I can grab some colors and I can start putting it on. Now do you see how it wants to start spreading on its own? See it move? And that's because we put the water down first, right? So I can put all of my colors down. I can use some orange if I want, right? If I rinse my brush, I could use some yellows. Maybe I want my head more yellow, but that's all we're gonna do. So again, you are first painting your seahorse with water and then picking up the paint. So clear water first, paint second. And that's all we're going to do. For the next part of our seahorse, we have to make his underwater world. So you're gonna take a white oil pastel and just make bubbles. And you probably can't see these, but I'm putting white on white. And if you think about it, they get smaller, some are closer together, some are further away, but you want to do about 8 different bubbles, different places. Maybe one's coming off my paper. So there you go. Using the same technique that we used last time, you're going to take water and cover your table. This time I'm giving you a big brush, and you're going to cover your whole piece of paper with lots of water. All right, I have lots of water here, like so. Again, taking our paint, after we do water, we're gonna take our paint and we're gonna put it on here, and you're gonna see how it starts spreading on its own. So it's like water on water. It's called wet on wet. And where I did my bubbles, I'm gonna go over those. That's gonna resist the paint, okay? So again, these will just look like bubbles, and you need to make sure you fill in your bubble with the white oil pastel so it doesn't absorb the paint, and that's all for the water.